Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So I just want to discuss a little bit about, life and death and the way Shaytan keep mankind delusional and complacent, right? And also I want to talk about, the 8 doors, the 8 gates to Jannah. There's 8 ways for us to try to get into Jannah, but I'm only going to speak on 4 of them because these some of the main 4 that I've put into practice, and some of the things that I did, trying to strive for Jannah by using these 8 doors. But first, let me speak on death, right? So I got an uncle. He just passed away, my mom's youngest brother. And out of her brothers and sisters, she's the last one left, right? So, it's hard on her, right? And, of course, he's not Muslim. So, like on my mother's side, I'm the only Muslim in the family, right? So, I'm not speaking ill on my uncle. His affairs have, his life in this world has come to an end. So I'm not speaking ill on him. But sometimes, man, I just look at things, man, and see the way Shaytan is so crafty, man, that he keep people in a world of delusion once their religion is lost. See, one thing about Christianity is still here. The Bible is still here. But the way Christianity was supposed to be followed is lost. The Bible has been tampered and played with, on top of people playing and tampering with the version that's already played with and tampered with. So, basically, man, my uncle had cancer, right? But when he found out he had cancer, he found out with enough time where they could have did something about it. Okay? And my mom, his wife, he got 4 daughters, he got grandchildren, and they all tried to talk to him. But he said, no, I'm ready to go be with my mother. My grandmother, who passed away some years back, right? He said, no, I'm refusing all treatment. And if, because at one point he was in the hospital, and he was like, if something happened to me in the hospital, he signed the do not resuscitate papers and all of that. And, this just had my mom in a wreck. So, they kept trying to do everything they could. And he refused. He chose death. Now, the men in the family, I looked at it and said, hey, he got his mind made up. I admire the soldier in him for choosing to die. Because it take a strong person to choose death, man. Muslim or non-Muslim, to choose death while you got a pretty decent life. You got 4 daughters. They all grown, but you got grandchildren. You got a wife. You're retired. You're living pretty comfortable. And to choose death, it's some soldier in you. You know what I'm saying? You're going to choose death while you're chilling. But like his reasoning. And I could just see the Shaytan, man, the delusion all over it. Like, you could have chose life and be here for your daughters and your grandchildren. You know, you could have chose life, but he chose death, man, to go be with my grandmother. And, you know, the belief in Jesus and, you know, some of the Christian point of views, which has been twisted. You know, somehow they forget about a day of judgment. You know, there's a day of resurrection and a day of judgment in Christianity. But for some reason, they all forget that when somebody passes away. In their head, you die. And then immediately when you die, even before your funeral happens, you're already in heaven. No matter how you lived your life, no matter how much you disobeyed the Creator, all because you just said the words, I believe that Jesus is my Lord and Savior. Which means you saved. So you can live any way you want. Do anything you want. And because you said those words, then you saved from the hellfire. And the only people who go to the hellfire is people who don't say, I believe that Jesus is my Lord and Savior. And refer to Jesus as God and those things. It's delusion. There's delusion. And unfortunately, original Christianity doesn't teach that. And even some of what they still have left doesn't teach that. These is bid'ahs and innovations that have been entered into that religion, man, through the trickery of Shaytan. You know, and he chose death, man. And while he had cancer, while he had the cancer the way that he did, he kept smoking cigarettes. Smoked cigarettes, man, basically till his dying breath, man, basically. Smoked cigarettes up until he died, man. You know, he just passed away, but it's just unfortunate, man. And then to see the reality, man, the things that we know once you enter the barzakh and your funeral, it's just unfortunate, man. It's just unfortunate. And you know, for us who still had a reality, man. And you know, like I say, I'm not going to get into the way he chose to live his life. You know, for the most part, man, he was really a good guy. You know what I'm saying? But he indulged. You know what I'm saying? He did his thing, man. You know? It's just unfortunate, man. So, you know, like us as a Muslim, man, where death is supposed to be a reminder. You know. Even if it's a non-Muslim, man, you know, it's a reminder to us to stay on the reality, man. Don't let Shaytan trick us and we become complacent. Because the same way they use that statement to be saved, I believe that Jesus is my Lord and Savior, that stuff that they say, it means they saved. Some of us treat the Shahada the exact same way. Like that statement alone means you're good. You ain't got to act up on it. You ain't got to really wholeheartedly believe it. But because you took your Shahada, no matter how you deem, no matter how you treat people, you know, no matter how much you disobey Allah Azza wa Jal, then you're good. Because you took your Shahada. We falling into the same complacency as the people of the book. The same complacency as the people of the book. Some of us really believe because we took our Shahada, we good. We going to Jannah no matter what. Because we Muslim. And that's not a fact. That's not a fact. So, don't let Shaytan, man, allow you to become complacent, man. Allah Azza wa Jal commands us in Quran al-Kareem, enter into Islam wholeheartedly, and then act upon istiqamah. Remain steadfast on Islam. Keep striving. Don't let your deen slip away from you. Do everything that you can to implement this religion. You got to remain steadfast on that. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, man, some of us, unfortunately, we haven't even got past the first part yet, which is entering into Islam wholeheartedly. We still have Christian, half gang member, half rapper, half stripper, half drug addict, half street person, street dude, street woman. We ain't even entered in, a lot of us haven't even entered into Islam wholeheartedly, and that's why the Muslims is in the condition that they are in. And a day just might come where with what remains of Christianity, the name for the religion, and the Bible that they use, no matter how twisted it up it is, and revised and then twisted it up and played with on top of the twisting it up and played with, and misinterpretation from preachers, pastors, deacons, whatever they want to label themselves, and all the breakups, and the Catholics, the Baptists, the Pentecostals, and Southern Baptists, whatever, all these different names that they have, the Jehovah's Witness, 7-day Adventists, and all of this, all the twisting up and foolery, all that remains, but the way it's supposed to be practiced is gone. Now with us, the way it's supposed to be practiced remains, but we losing that. All the tafsirs and hadiths is just thrown out the window for the most part, until it's time to quote something, until it's time to win an argument. Okay, I want to win this argument. I'll go look up the tafsir and say, look, the tafsir says this. When it's time to win an argument, look, the hadith proves this. But who going and looking at the tafsirs to learn how to implement their religion in accordance with the Quran properly? Who's going to look up and study the hadiths to implement their religion the same way, as opposed to looking at these things to win an argument, or looking at these things to quote in a khutbah or a lecture? See, this is the Shaytan playing with us, man, allowing us to think that we good when we really in some of the worst condition possible, man. Shaytan will keep us complacent, man. And I want to share something, man. A guy I knew, man, when we was younger, right? Muslim, although, I know the Muslim part was through the gang culture, but, going into prison, like I said, I ain't been around a long time, but last I knew, we always played the Muslim card. Whether he prayed, whether he went to Juma in prison, I don't really know none of that. But let me show y'all something. In 1992, he caught his first drug case. He got 2 years, right? He do his 2 years, his year and whatever, gets out. This is in 1992. July 24th, 1992. He gets out in 1994 catches a gun case. So he gets locked back up where he enters the prison on August the 9th, 1994. This is almost 2 years exactly. This time he get 2 years and 6 months. He do his time. So 2 years from 1994 and 6 months, that takes you to 1996. And then some 6 months, which, you know, he probably got some good time, got about 3 months knocked off of that. So about 2 years and 3 months, or he probably did a year and some change, but anyway, 2 years take you to 1996. On August 6, 1997, he catches another dope case, gets 7 years for that. And since he had a gun, he get another 3 years for the gun. So this is 10 years ran concurrent. He got to push about 5 years off of this 10. So 1997 and 5 years push you around to about 2002. Okay? Push you around to like 2002 after about 5 years. In 2004, when he hits the penitentiary, he gets 45 years for drug trafficking again. 3 dope cases. Okay? 3 dope cases, 2 gun cases. 2004. This man, since 1992, all the way up, now 2004, because he was in the county jail about a year. So he got caught in like 2003. But he fought the case for about a year. But he's still locked up. From 1992 to 2003, if you add up all that time together, that's 11 years. He probably wasn't even on the streets 2 whole years. When you include the time he had to do in the county jail fighting his cases. 2004, Muslim. 2004, he gets 45 years. Where he got to do 20 years and some change off of that. 45 years. 2023, right? Because he was in county jail in 2003. So 2023, they send him to like a work release center. That's 20 years of incarceration. So by the time he get out of the work release center completely was about a year ago. It probably wasn't even a whole year, because the factory where I work at, I seen his name on a list, and you know they sent him out there to work. But I knew, I didn't get a chance to see him, but I knew you ain't changed. But this is like 20 years, 25 years. So then you add another 5 on there, because he did 2, then he did 2 and 6 months. Out of that 4 years, you know, and his parole and stuff, we'll say he did at least 3 of that. So you're looking at 28 years, a minimum of 28 years behind bars. So he still ain't even on parole. He went to a work release center, a halfway house, did a little bit in that, finally get a chance to get up out of that just a week ago. Just a week and a few days ago. Close to 2 weeks. Now the feds done came and caught him with 6 kilos of cocaine. Another dope case. Another dope case. And I'm seeing on here, it say he was born in 1974. So he was born December 13, 1974. And I ain't going to show his picture. But this is like where you can look up jail records, right? This is where you can see jail records. 1974, so this year he'll be 51 in December. And he just got caught with 6 kilos. He finna get life. He finna get life unless he don't tell on everybody. Because where we live, you get a point system. When the feds get you, they go by how many points you got. The simple fact that you on parole from a 45-year sentence, that's enough points for you to do life in the feds. You already 51. This case, if he don't cooperate, it might drag out 2-3 years before he get his time. It might drag out a good 2 years before he get his time. He might not get his time till he about 53 years old, 54. So even if you get something like 20 years in the feds, you're looking at being 70-some years old when you get out. As a Muslim. As a Muslim. And unknown for a fact, some of the people he was playing in the streets with, Muslim too. 51 years old. 51 years old, man. You'll be 51 years old this year, and you done already did 28, 29 years in prison. As a Muslim, man. Now you looking at, I know the way they play with some cooperation. He might get 17 years. With some cooperation, he might have to do 17, 18 years. My point is, Shaytan kept the boy delusional. Because you took your shahada, because you said you was Muslim, because you called the Creator Allah, you're fine. You're fine. How are you comfortable with standing in front of Allah Azza wa Jal on a day of resurrection, on a day of judgment, with this type of track record? How are you comfortable entering the grave to answer a question like, what did you do with your time? What did you do with your deen that when Allah gave you all this time to do something with? Now, like I said, I haven't seen him since when he came, when in 94, and he did that too. The last time I seen him was in 1996. So I haven't seen him or been in front of him since 1996. And the very day that I seen him, in 1996, he had a gun and he had some dope on him and was finna get into a shootout with some other people that I was talking to. Some other people from the other side. They seen, we was sitting up there chopping it up, him and a car full of other people, because like I said, they was from the opposite side, but they was cool with me. And then they pulled up, and because I lived out of town, I was just here visiting. And the guys was like, man, we got to get up out of here, man. You don't know everything that's going on. And I'm like, man, nah, y'all straight. They ain't gonna do nothing to y'all while I'm around. They was like, nah, man, we ain't gonna chance it because, you know, we ready to rock just like they ready to rock. You know, whatever gonna happen, it ain't even no sense in this happening around you. And like wallahi, that's a true story. Although they were from the opposite side, they had that type of mutual respect because I was there. So then they jump out the car. They pull up and hurry up and jumped out the car while they get in the car leaving, and was like, man, what they was on, what they were talking about, this and that. And I was like, nothing, man. I told them, I wasn't finna let y'all bother them. And they was like, man, you don't know everything that's going on, this and that. Because I guess they had been involved in a murder. The guys who was talking to me, which they had. You know what I'm saying? But I wasn't living here, so I wasn't knowing everything that was going on. But anyway, so they were finna get into the car, and as a matter of fact, after they talked to me for a minute, they did go get in the car to go try to ride around and find them. That's the last time I seen him. And now 2 weeks ago, almost a week and some days, he done got caught with 6 keys. Shaytan kept him delusional, man. You still chasing it. Still chasing it. Still chasing it, man. When you could have been chasing jannah, man. Could have been chasing jannah, man. And I feel bad for him, man. So anyway, man, when it comes to the 8 gates to get into jannah, right? 4 of them is sadaqah, fasting, salah, and controlling your anger. Okay? So, me, like I said, from one Ramadan to the next Ramadan, I always did something from the deen that from one Ramadan to the next. Technically a whole year. 1 year, I did every single fast that there was. Another year, I did all of the sunnah prayers and the night prayers, all these extra prayers. And another year, I just did a whole lot of zakat, a whole lot of sadaqah. Feed 200 people during the month of Ramadan. 150 people for the Eid. Then another 150 for the next Eid. And then on top of that, paying people bills, not to speak on what I'm doing, or feeding another masjid for the whole month of Ramadan in another country. Just sadaqah and zakat, sadaqah and zakat, sadaqah and zakat from one Ramadan to the next. And then another one, just controlling my anger and not getting upset, not arguing, until I got to the point, the only things that made me mad or made me feel away, if it involved Muslims doing other Muslims wrong, it had to involve Islam. Anything else outside of Islam, I didn't even care about it. It didn't even ruffle my feather. Like it didn't even raise an eyebrow with me. After I worked on that for a whole year, and still to this day, the only thing that get me upset, or at least raise an eyebrow, is when it got something to do with Islam. When Muslims confusing other Muslims, Muslims being miseducated, and it's intentional so that people can make money. Those type of things bother me. But so I'm mentioning that, man, and this is something that we need to dig into. Look at the 8 ways to enter Jannah, man, the 8 doors, the 8 gates, and find you some things from those 8 gates and implement them. And once I did 1 whole year, strictly my main focus was on one of them. After all that, all of them just naturally in me in my everyday life. Just pick one aspect of the deen and focus on it for 1 year. On an everyday basis. It's on your mind every day. Every couple of weeks. You're mindful of it. You steadfast up on it. Pick you something from the deen and stay focused on it for 1 year. Whether it be from, if you start now in Muharram to the next Muharram. If you start in the next month, from this month to the next month, a year later. If you wait till Ramadan and get all your studies up and know how to implement everything the way that it should be, and then when Ramadan come, you start at Ramadan, and then all the way to the next year Ramadan come. Whether it's fasting, whether it's salah, whether it's sadaqah, controlling your anger, whatever it is from them 8 gates. This is 8 ways to get into Jannah. And focus on them. And then when it become a part of your life, keep focusing on them. So hopefully, man, that one of them doors are open for us. And then what I'm implementing now, I'm starting to work on, I'm starting to learn it, but from this Ramadan to the next Ramadan, one of my main goals is going to be not losing my good deeds. Not losing my good deeds. You know, falling into conversations that I possibly shouldn't have. You know, being a little lackadaisical in some of my deeds that I should be doing, acting like I got time. You know, just little things like that. I want to start to focus on not even losing an inkling of some of the rewards that I chased. Although I don't know if I get the reward for it, but I'm striving for it. But just in case I do get the reward, I don't want to lose none of it. So that's my new thing, man. And you know, take from this man and reflect. Because we all know some people. Maybe they wasn't exactly like this. You know what I'm saying? The examples that I'm using. But we all know somebody. We all know some people, man, that we could look at their life. Maybe we grew up with them, or we knew who they was when we was younger, whether they was Muslim or not Muslim, man, and just seeing how they lived their life, man, and it really didn't pan out for them. And reflect on that, man, because we're not promised tomorrow, you know. We just, you know what I'm saying? Do tadabbur, do a deep reflection on your life and the life of people that was in your circumference. Even if they wasn't a friend, even if it was just somebody you knew. You know what I'm saying? Like you just knew their name. You just knew about their reputation or what they was about in the street. And, you know, be thankful for Allah, man. Be thankful, man, that Allah chose us to become Muslim. Which is scary within itself, man, because when Allah choose you to become Muslim, it's a whole lot of responsibility that you have to carry on your back, baby. Let's say you're starting a business, or you're starting a crew, you're starting a team. It could be a sports team, it could be any type of business. And you're going to choose people to represent your business. So these people that you choose carry a major responsibility to represent your business, represent your team, represent your crew. Do you understand the responsibility that's put on us to represent Allah's deen? And we out here playing, man. We out here with gangbanger goals, dope dealer goals, dunya goals. We out here, man, to the point where it almost ain't even no difference between us and the kuffar. Oh, the kuffar this. Oh, the kuffar don't know the truth. They all up on this shirk. They all up on this. Us Muslims got the haq. But you put us in the same room with the exact same clothes on, and you can't tell us apart. Look at how they act. We act just like them. Look at how they talk. We talk just like them. Unless it's some people that's from overseas. They have different mannerisms and they have different conversations with them, but at the same time, they not squeaky clean either. They have issues as well, but it's just on a different level than ours. They may have issues with certain beliefs about Allah and about the Rasul and putting other people above the Rasul and, and actions and statements and deeds. They just may have some different set of circumstances, but we need to get it together, man. We need to get it together. We always want to talk about the kuffar when we not no different from them. Ain't even trying to be like better than them. Us trying to be better than them is trying to get more dunya. Be better at living an impermissible life. And that ain't the way, man. That Shaytan keeping people delusional. And I'm going to end on Surah 6, Ayah 121, Ayah 122. It speaks about how the jinns, the devils, the shayatins, how they communicate with the devils and amongst mankind. That's their friends. And how they get these people to be an issue for you, to haul you into slipping and falling off your deen, whether by arguing with you, whether by giving you some advice that really goes against the advice that comes with Quran and Sunnah. Surah 6, 121, 122. It speaks about the Shaytan. These is devils amongst mankind. They friends with the evil jinns. And they whisper and they follow the whispers and evil suggestions that's put in their head. And they might be Muslim, B. You just imagine sitting in a room and Allah has put you in a position to carry the responsibility of uplifting the community by giving you a building, giving you people that can educate the community, and then you got people around you who just want to live a life so wicked and they always up to no good that they ruin it. Because the better the community gets, the worse they look. See, filth can disguise itself amongst filth. You understand? But around purity, in a clean room, filth stands out like a sore thumb. That's why, like, you look at a toxic group of people. They can't function unless they're around toxicity. Their relationships gotta be toxic. Their friendships gotta be toxic. Them and their kids, when they're alone, everything has to be toxic so that they can blend in. When they're around non-toxic people, they look like fools. But these is people, your friends, man, of the Shaytan. Imagine Muslims trying to get together and establish some real Islam, and then Muslims trying to stop it from being done because they don't want to practice Islam the right way. They sitting around up on 150,000 sins to the women that they married to the husbands that they married to, or in relationships with, the things that they doing for more money, the haram income, the little pork and products and all type of stuff, haram foods that's in their diet, the negligence of prayer, don't want to pray the right way, don't want nobody else praying the right way, the right direction, no nothing. See, the Shaytan operate through people like this, man. But anyway, man, let me get up off of here, man. Don't become one of them. Don't let Shaytan keep you delusional and complacent, man. Because like I said, Shaytan will try to keep you delusional, even when to the point where you passing away, where he even try to get you to utter a word of shirk through your last breaths. Man, we got a doctor, man. He's a doctor in the community. And in a hospital, man, he said it's times when they see people, like even overseas, like they may have been somewhere where something got blew up or something, a war-torn Muslim country. And they bringing them in the hospital on gurneys to rush them to surgery. And these dudes will start singing music, singing songs. Or they just be delusional and they be blabbering and just saying anything that might even go against the Quran and Sunnah. And, you know, this is from the Shaytan trying to trick you and dupe you to get you to utter some words of shirk on your deathbed. And like he said, in America, being in a hospital and seeing like gunshot victims, and they coming in and they on their way out, and they singing rap songs with BITCHs, but they out of their mind. They don't know what they doing. They been shot in the head, or they been shot 10, 15 times. And then they pass away doing that. Or they having a conversation with somebody. They still arguing. Like he said, somebody get into an argument and a fight, and then they get shot. And then they get them, they out of it, and then they get them in an ambulance, and they working on them, putting oxygen and stuff on them. And then as they rolling them into the hospital, they kind of come through, and they're still in the argument, still cussing the person out. They don't know that they've been shot. They don't know the condition that they in, but they still saying cuss words, and they're still in the argument, still in the fight that they was in before they got shot or stabbed up. And then they die with this speech on their tongue. It's the Shaytan, man. The Shaytan. And you know, like I say, man, with my uncle, you know, the version of Christianity, how they feel, you know, they feel like that was a noble thing. You know, I said, Jesus, my Lord and Savior, you know, I'm about to go be with my mom and Jesus and all this stuff, man. You know, they view that as a noble thing, man, but I know Shaytan tricked them, man. And that man chose death, bro. For the wrong reasons, you know? But anyway, man, let me get up off of here, man. Y'all be mindful. Start using them doors to jannah, man. Not just once, not just twice. Remain steadfast on them. Remain steadfast on them. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.